So first question, just a practical one here. The Prime Minister has noted that Canada has 30 days now to negotiate before the tariffs take effect. But this is not the first time, as you know, this president has imposed tariffs on Canada, some of them very damaging. Do you believe there's a path to negotiation here?
Absolutely, we believe there's a path, and now we have 29 days where, as our Prime Minister said, we will intensify those discussions. But today, Jim, we're still digesting, what are we looking at? What are we dealing with these new Section 338s? And I'll say new, but actually old, because they come from a Tariff Act from 1930. But they are, in fact, a very different tariff to deal with. There are three areas that are cited in which these tariffs are invoked, but how they work is that a pressure can be applied at a broader and more discretionary basket of goods that don't relate to those specific three areas that were cited, and in fact the reason the tariffs were invoked. So this is new territory. It's meant to offset discrimination against U.S. commerce. It does not include the lengthy investigation process that you see with 301 tariffs. So it's in fact a very different beast in terms of a tariff threat.
Do you think that the president has found, in effect, a new legal pathway to impose tariffs despite the Supreme Court's ruling? I mean, I imagine, these might be, you could see them challenged in court, but that doesn't necessarily move very quickly.
Yeah, unfortunately, that doesn't help businesses in Canada or the U.S. that will be impacted by such tariffs. They are untested. This is Canada's the first to be processing, digesting what this all means. But as you say, the legal process will take a long time and be on a different timeline. So we're very much focused on the immediate digestion of what those impacts could be. But as you say, turning to, as our Prime Minister said, intensifying discussions, really stepping up those negotiations to get to a comprehensive deal over the next 29 days. And in some version of this, I hope that that's the spirit of the action taken here, is that it's meant to set a timeline, speed things up, if you will, and get things over the line in terms of getting to a deal that works for both Canada and the U.S.
Can I ask for your specific reaction to President Trump imposing tariffs for wildfire smoke? I mean, listen, the nature knows no borders, as we all know. Can you imagine Canada imposing tariffs on the U.S. if U.S. wildfire smoke went north?
Oh, I absolutely cannot. And in fact, when you look at what action Canada has taken in the exact scenario when it goes the other way, we send resources, we send aid, we send help. And that's what good neighbors do, especially when you have a shared geography. And it's, of course, what I would hope to see reciprocated.
Yeah. Big picture. I've heard from Canadian officials myself, and Mark Carney has referred to this in the past, too, in the midst of this ongoing trade war, really, imposition of U.S. tariffs on Canada, that this is not so much about coming to a trade agreement, but that it's about punishing Canada, in effect, extorting Canada via economic damage. And I wonder if you share that concern, or at least that fear.
It's a really, really good question, Jim. And I answer this question almost every day. How should we be thinking about what's hitting us and how we're approaching this? And in fact, I go back to last year when these, in fact, were very separate conversations. We had the review of USMCA or CUSMA coming up in a certain timeline, but we had the original actions out of US trade policy being enacted, to which Canada had a reaction of, why are we being treated like everybody else? And what I mean by that is tariffs applied because we have a list of grievances and we want to extract some movement on those from all countries. And we have sort of this difference of opinion where Canada got upset because we were treated like everybody else. And out of the US, we might hear, why is Canada upset? We didn't single you out or treat you any differently than anybody else. But I, in fact, think the objective has remained constant, which is there's a list of grievances. Canada is included in that. These are made very transparent in the trade barriers report, and some things are added to that. Okay. And we in fact have to negotiate through that. Because those are presented as barriers to our trade and our trade relationship. And Canada's perspective is we also see barriers to our trade relationship, and we call those Section 232 tariffs. Mm-hmm. And so getting to a deal and a comprehensive deal for Canada means broader resolution on that level. And that's what we really hope to see happen in the next 29 days.
Well, if only that World Cup spirit, right, had extended into the trade sphere. I mean, it seems like only days ago, you guys, they were standing on the same stage handing out trophies. Candace Laing, we appreciate you joining.
Thank you for having me.